couple of ways that you can develop handwriting skills whilst using your iPad with some of the built-in tools or free apps that come with the iPad. First of all, let's take a look at the Notes app. So on my device, I have the Notes app by here. If I go ahead and open this up, I've created a new note simply by tapping on the new note icon in the top here. And on my page, I basically just have a blank page. Now, the very basic thing that you can do with handwriting is using the drawing tools. You have the drawing tools appear along the bottom, and you can simply just use the stylus, Apple Pencil, or even your finger to do some basic handwriting. Now, if you want to take that a little bit further, to start to develop the structure of the letters, etc., we can also add in a couple of other things to our page. If I go ahead and tap on the three dots in the top, you'll see that I get some additional options. One of those options on the page is for lines and grids. When I choose this, you'll notice I get a range of different background types that I can add to my Notes application. These three were going to be great for supporting me with handwriting and structure of letters. These may be more useful for things to do with science and maths. So let's go ahead and choose this lined grid. Straight away, you can see now that I have those lines on the page, which can give me some structure to making sure that my letters stay within a certain area. Now, this can be a really useful support for many students that might struggle to keep their letters the same size, same width, etc., really supporting them with their development of their handwriting. Now, let's look at something in a different application. Let's go to Keynote, for example. Now, Keynote is a tool that you can get for free on any iPad, and it has lots of functions as well as being a great presentation tool because it allows you to do lots of animation as well. In this example, let's take a look at how we might be able to do handwriting and fine motor control for maybe early learners. In this case, I've simply created a background letter, and you could do this with the whole letters of the alphabet, and added in an image that I'm now going to use to draw on the page. Now, in its simplest form, because I can select this icon, I could just trace over the picture, giving me some idea of how I might trace it, so developing that fine motor skill. Another thing that we can do, though, is if I tap on that image itself and tap on Animate, I can choose an action of Create Path. Now, what Create Path does, as I draw with that object on the page, it will not only leave a red line showing where I've drawn, but it also creates an animation path. So I can watch that back just to check my accuracy. So let's take a look at how that works. I select the object, I draw the path that I'm being asked to draw around, and then when I'm finished, you can see how you've drawn around it. So it makes this a more interactive, immersive experience for children as they're starting to develop that fine motor skill. You could even export these out and share them back to your students or to mum, dad, or whoever it might be at home that wants to show what your students have done to develop their skills. Now, in order to create that, it's fairly simple. As you'll see on the screen, I have that letter P. You can create these as templates, so you could have the whole alphabet here. And I custom built a penguin icon. You could quite as easily go to the Shapes library and find something beginning with a P. I might look for something in animals, for example. Let's look in nature. Let's see what we might have in here, or animals. And let's say something beginning with P. We can find our pet. So I'm going to use a cat for this. Again, I've selected the cat, choose Animate, Add Action, Create Path, and draw around that letter. And there we go. As simple as that, creating something which is good access for early learners. Now, if we want to take that a step further and kind of thinking about how we used notes before, in this example, I've created a background which gives me a little bit more structure maybe to writing. If I zoom in a little bit here, you can see I've added in some dashed lines that could support in terms of where the letters might end if they're simple letters, but whether they've got tails, etc., or however you describe this to your learners. Now, the same as in notes, I can tap on the plus, tap on the media icon, and I have those drawing tools. Now, again, if you're using Apple Pencils, you can simply just tap onto the Keynote slide and those drawing tools will appear. And again, along the bottom, I have those range of tools that I can utilize. If I choose my pencil, I can change the thickness and I can change the color. And now when I draw on these lines, I have those additional tools to help me structure how I'm forming my letter. So for example, I might use those lines to really make sure that my letters are nice and neat and have that same height at all of those elements, really supporting that structure. Now you could design a whole worksheet here thinking about, getting students to copy words that you write here and they have a practice here. And again, what's really, really nice is that this can easily then be shared back to the teacher for teachers to be able to give feedback on letter formation, etc. What we can also do in terms of animation is tap on that. And when we tap animate, we can choose a build-in. And one of those build-ins is a line draw. And now this will replay my writing. So I can check exactly how I've done this. Now, as a teacher, if I see that structure from a student, I can start to understand maybe their start points and end points of each of those letters that they're trying to form, thereby giving me a little bit of extra information if they are struggling to form certain letters or certain words when they're drawing them. So there we go. 3 simple ideas that you can utilize using Notes and Keynote on the iPad to support handwriting for your students.